Castrol GTX Fall Nationals at Firebird Raceway. I'm Dave McClellan, along with Steve Evans. And Dick and Kim LaHaye hard at work on their top-fuel dragsters. Dick reinstalling the caps on the connecting rods after checking the bearings in the between-round maintenance that goes on these engines. Making some 3,000 horsepower out of about 500 cubic inches, these aluminum racing engines power not only the top-fuel dragsters, but the funny cars that we see on the starting line. This is Johnny West driving Roland Leong's Hawaiian. He is racing against Mark Oswald at the wheel of the Candies and Hughes car. Earlier, we told you that the drivers are having some problems getting these cars down the racetrack. Johnny West is trying something just a little bit different.
We're always talking about how sophisticated these funny cars are becoming, but still a little baling wire couldn't hurt in the right situation. Johnny West, what are you doing with all this wire?
Well, we added some more wing to this back right here to try and glue the back end down. There's a dip out there in the middle of the track, and the car seems to unload itself. So what we're going to try and do is keep the car pushed down on top of it. Adding more wing might help us do that.
Okay, but why again the wire?
Well, with the wing so far up in the air like that, there's nothing to support it, so we're just going to try and brace it and just add some makeshift scuffs is what it really is.
Okay. Hope it works for you.
Oh, it will. It will.
Ingenuity in action, and it better work, because look who he's got to run. The man that is challenging for the World Championship, Mark Oswald, who defeated in round number 1 Tom Hoover. Johnny West, out of Chandler, Arizona, practically a hometown boy, beat Gary Densham in the first round. The two drivers into the staging beams, and instant tire smoke for Mark Oswald. Johnny West has practically a single run. Hits a lap time, 5.84 seconds, 245 miles an hour. But for Mark Oswald and the Candies and Hughes team, it was too much of everything. Too much power, too much clutch as the car left the starting line. It rolled just a few feet, and then tire smoke. The tires losing traction, and at that point, West was long gone, advancing into the semifinals, and Mark Oswald's hopes for another world championship dimming considerably as the car goes up in smoke. This kind of smoke, though, is intentional. It is a burnout designed to heat the tires to provide the maximum traction to be able to glue that car to the asphalt as it goes 1,320 feet from a standing start. In the far lane, a man that is enjoying his first season ever on the championship trail, John Martin, who defeated Jim Dunn in the first round. Ed McCulloch made it a family affair. He defeated Jim's son, Mike, the U.S. Nationals champion, in the first round. McCulloch driving for Larry Minor, part of that 3-car team that's now down to 2 drivers, Minor and McCulloch, as Gary Beck is looking for a ride next season, perhaps with the Billy Meyer team. A great start for both drivers, but the horsepower of McCulloch comes into play, and by several car lengths, he wins it. Elapsed time, 5.80 seconds at the end of that quarter-mile racing distance, 254 miles an hour. That sets up the semis. Ed McCulloch against Jim Head. McCulloch having lane choice, and Kenny Bernstein could lock up a world championship if he beats Johnny West in the semifinals. Bernstein having lane choice. Back on the starting line, the 190-mile-an-hour factory hot rods. The Pro Stocks get set. This is the world champion, Bob Glidden, in his Ford Thunderbird, racing against the Pontiac Firebird of Butch Leal. Leal has made it to the winner's circle twice thus far this season with this exotic Pontiac. He won the Columbus race, the Spring Nationals. Then he had a back-to-back win as he took the title at the Grand Nationals in Montreal, Canada. Here in Phoenix, Leal defeated Joe LaPone in the first round to bring him up against Bob Glidden, who beat Don Coombs. We talk a lot about the 3,000 horsepower nitro-burning engines. Earlier, Steve had a chance to look at Bob Glidden's Ford motor.
Top fuel and funny car teams usually explode an engine before they have time to become fond of it. But in Pro Stock, it's a little different situation. Bob Glidden has had the same 3 engines in rotation since the beginning of the season, and they each have a pet name. The motor in the car for eliminations today, that's the Silver Bullet. The engine they qualified with, that's Rusty's Bullet, named after one of his sons. And the engine that started the season, which has now been placed on the active reserve list, it's called Junior. And anytime any of these engines see competition, they immediately go back to his shop in Whiteland, Indiana. They're completely disassembled, any necessary parts are replaced, and then they're bolted up to the dynamometer in the shop, where Bob and Etta apply one of their patented tune-ups. Now, in addition to race tuning on the dyno, there is also a constant development program. That's how this team keeps its edge. Now, Bob estimates that he has spent about 100 hours on the dyno in the last month, and that for every $1 he may spend here at the racetrack, he'll spend $50 at the shop.
Steve, those motors obviously work. They have carried Bob Glidden and his T-Bird to 4 wins thus far this season. Butch Leal in the far lane in the Pontiac, Glidden in the Ford in the near lane. A great driving job by Leal. He's got the advantage off the starting line, but he shuts it off and Glidden pulls ahead. Butch Leal runs into problems, and Bob Glidden wins it at 7.50 seconds at over 185 miles an hour. That puts him into the semifinals. A tough break for Butch Leal. He had the advantage off the starting line. Here's the man that was the upset winner at the Keystone Nationals just a few months ago. Don Beverly driving the Pontiac Firebird. In the first round, Beverly beat the Camaro of Gordy Rivera, while Bruce Allen defeated the Ford Thunderbird of Frank Iaconio. As you will recall, this is a rematch of the final round that you saw on USA Sports of the Castrol GTX Keystone Nationals. It was the Rare and Morrison Camaro driven by Bruce Allen against the Pontiac Firebird of Don Beverly. Beverly won that race in an upset. Can he pull it off again? And a whole shot by Bruce Allen. Don Beverly asleep at the switch at the starting line, and Bruce Allen by a wide margin takes the win in a lap time of 7.65 seconds at over 179 miles an hour. Beverly was actually quicker at 7.61 seconds, but that very poor start practically gave the race to Bruce Allen. Dempsey Hardy, driving the Pontiac Firebird of Hurley and Velde, defeated a fellow Floridian in the first round here at the Fall Nationals as Stan Mizell fell to Dempsey Hardy. Meantime, his competition here in the second round, Tony Christian, defeated Jerry Ekman in their first round race. Christian in the far lane hailing out of Bradenton, Florida, while Vero Beach, Florida is home base for Dempsey Hardy and the Hurley and Velde team. As the cars approach the starting line, they break light beams that go across the concrete launching pad. When they roll into those beams and come to a stop, indicating to starter Buster Couch they're ready, he throws the switch, it's a green light, and Christian has the lead for a moment. He begins to get out close to the guardrail, backs away from it, and Dempsey Hardy has the win. 7.64 seconds, 181 miles an hour. Some superlative performance out of that Pontiac for Dempsey Hardy this weekend. Here is the Oldsmobile, number 2 in the world last season, of Warren Johnson. He is the man that is chasing Bob Glidden in that World Championship points chase. Racing against Warren Johnson is Darrell Alderman, the driver of this Chevy Camaro. Out of Moorhead, Kentucky, Alderman defeated Lee Dean in the first round of racing here at the Fall Nationals, while Warren Johnson took his Oldsmobile to a big win over Don Campanello. Early in the season, it looked like Warren Johnson had the World Championship locked up, but he's falling victim to Bob Glidden's late season charge. Darrell Alderman in the far lane, Warren Johnson in the near lane. Buster Couch signaling to Alderman, get into the staging beam, and look at the whole shot from Darrell Alderman. He outpsyched Warren Johnson and outdrove him off the starting line. Darrell Alderman wins it at a 7.65 seconds, and that puts a big crimp in Warren Johnson's World Championship points chase. Alderman goes into the semis to race against Dempsey Hardy. Hardy having the lane choice, while the other pair finds Bob Glidden against Bruce Allen in that classic Ford versus Chevrolet battle, with Bob Glidden in the T-Bird having the lane choice. In Kenny Bernstein's pit area, very calm, cool, and collected as the work goes on preparing his funny car for the race that may decide the World Championship.